Hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in if you're watching this live, and thank you to everyone joining us from our members Discord, and if you've got the link from our Instagram, Twitter or Facebook page, good to see you. We will let the chat build up. I'm sure there's lots to talk about tonight. I've got a lot to talk about, and I'm sure you have a lot to ask as well. So excited to get things going. I'm just waiting for this to load up on my phone, get a quick mic check, and then we are good to go. Let me just see. Good to see you. Yeah, perfect. Music's good, mic's good, we're good. So yeah, so if you have any comments, please do drop them below. I do imagine most of you will be wanting to chat about the Luna and UST situation, which well, the actual focus of this video will be on that. There's a little bit about inflation as well, which ties back into the actual market. And we'll just speak overall about the crypto market because, well, it's not looking good, is it? So the past few days has been a bit of a bomb scare. So, like I said, I will chat through that. Tonight's aim is to try and help understand a little bit more or break down a little bit more of the Luna situation, so Terra Luna, and then the UST situation as well, with a little bit of news at the end as well. So thank you for tuning in. If you are listening or watching this back in the coming days, hopefully most of this news still makes sense, but still I expect most of you to know kind of what's going on, and hopefully I will help a little bit more. So first things first, obviously, if you are new here, if you're joining us from YouTube and you haven't seen us before, hello, I'm Don. I'm part of the live stream team, should we say, here at the CG YouTube channel. We have a consultancy, a members Discord platform, as well as an education platform here, and this is our website. So if you haven't checked us out before, please feel free to check us out. All of our links are below in the description, and we will get some in the pinned comment as well. So check them out if you haven't already. This is our website right here. I won't bore you too much. Check us out if you need us. We are more than happy to help out as much as possible. Okay, so let's get into why everyone is tuning in to this video. The thumbnail, the title will have got everyone's eyes on this live stream, because, I mean, is it all over for crypto? I don't believe so. Is it looking a bit uneasy at the moment? I think so, and most of you will think the exact same. It's not looking great the past 48 hours. And I will show you now the coin stats just to bring up. I mean, we do this every single week, and again, anyone that is new, we do this every week where we chat a little bit about the top 10 crypto assets, talk about the prices and the percentage change, and then we move on and see what else we've got to cover off in the video. So for anyone that's not watching this video and is maybe listening in the car, out a walk, walking the dog, out at the gym, first of all, for everyone who's not in the gym, you should be getting to the gym, get yourself active, get your mind active, especially when crypto isn't performing exactly how you want it to. Get to the gym. So prices then, so top 10. So for anyone that is looking at the screen, you'll see then, so the past 24 hours we're looking at here, the market cap itself is down 10%, which is a huge drawdown in comparison to what we're used to, sitting at 1.378 trillion. Now, Bitcoin itself has been kind of fluctuating with that 30,000 support, but it is currently, as we speak, at 29,901, down 5% on the day. Ethereum, not looking great, sitting at 2,188, down just over 8% for the day. You'll notice that Tether and USDC, so the stable coins, they normally are kind of green anyway, but USDC certainly in the green. Tether was earlier today as well, and you'll see that they are now third and fourth in market cap. So that's fairly new, because USDC we usually sat about 6 there or thereabouts, maybe even lower than that actually, but because everyone's flooding out of the crypto like assets exactly, out of Bitcoin, Ethereum and all the altcoins, they're not taking their money out of the market per se, or not everyone is. Some people are just simply moving their crypto to a stable coin, not to UST, but they are moving it to USDT and USDC. Hence why you've seen these two, third and fourth. Then you've got BNB sitting at $276, down 15% for the day. XRP sitting at 42 cents, down 18% for the day. Cardano at 55 cents, down at 16% for the day. And then Solana, $52, down 25% for the day. BUSD, so another stable coin, that's sitting in 9th position at the moment. Again, that's been kind of fluctuating. And then in 10th place is Dogecoin with down 22% for the day, sitting at 0.08. So, top 10. I mean, I guess I can cover Terra USD because it was in the top 10 earlier, but Terra USD is currently sitting at 67 cents, down 26% for the day. Now that is a stable coin, so that should be $1 and pegged to $1. But as you will all be very much aware, Monday changed that, and Terra USDT or UST, sorry, seen lows of around like 20 cents. I think it was 29 cents. I am going to get into that in just a sec, but yeah, that's the top 10. Well, top 12, I guess, but that's the top 10 for now. Prices have had a huge pull down, which on Monday was the real kind of melt, shall we say. I'll bring up the Bitcoin chart in just a sec, but Monday was the first day that all kicked off. That's when the Luna stuff was kicking off, and the UST stuff was kicking off, and realistically, it was just a very, very bad time in the market on Monday. But the reason crypto was pulling down so hard, as well as the Terra stuff, was because the US had released the CPI figures and whatnot on Monday regarding inflation. That tends to kind of play with the market in general, not just the crypto market, but the stock market. So stock market was down, therefore crypto is going to come down just as good. Oh, not the word good, but you know what I mean. It comes down just as much, which is not good. But that's just unfortunately the way crypto seems to be pegged to the US stock market, which in theory is another reason why we speak so heavily about American news or news from the US. And we do focus on the UK news, obviously, because we are based in the UK for now, but we do focus a lot of our information and sources in the US, and we pretty much work in dollars all the time, which again, I've just told you the top 10 in dollars, and that's why, because everything in crypto seems to kind of come from or is affected by what happens majority of in the US. So again, that's another reason, if you didn't know, why we speak so much about the US economy, the US stock market in general, things happening in the US, and why we tend to work in dollars and not in pounds or yen or dirhams or anything like that. Maybe in dirhams soon though. When we move out to Dubai, we'll be speaking in dirhams potentially, but we'll cross that bridge when we come. Right, okay, so let me get a quick sip of my diluting juice here, and then we shall crack on and look at the Luna price chart, then the UST price chart, and then the Bitcoin price chart, because I think you might want to see them if you haven't already. Okay, so good to go. Let's bring this up. Okay, so this is on the daily time frame, this one. So I thought I'd bring up the daily because it doesn't look the worst out of them all, but it looks terrible in comparison to where it's come from July. Now if we're to measure from, let's just see, from May to its top, it was something like that. Just that initial move alone is looking at what, 3,500%. And now it's down. Oh, sorry, let me just click that again. And now it's down, I think it's like 98% or something. Let's see, 90, yeah, about 98, 99%. So, I mean, the chart kind of speaks for itself. It reminds me and a lot of people about the BitConnect. I don't know if anyone was around when BitConnect was about, but I'll get to that in just a sec and explain that. But BitConnect back in, when was that? 5 years ago, done a very, very similar thing. But yeah, not great. The price is down 98% in the past 24 hours. It has been falling since Monday, but we're now on Wednesday and it's just continuing to fall. So yeah, It's a shame for anyone that was holding or still is holding Luna. So if you do hold Luna, or if you've had it and you've maybe lost a lot of money, it's one of these things. No one could have seen it coming this fast. I mean, there was people out there and skeptics out there that it was never going to work, and that Luna should never have got to $120 at its all-time high, and it should never have kind of got into the top 10. I, for one, and majority of Crypto Glasgow, I mean, we know the technical team had bought it and sold it, which again, updates were made on that, but we've never really been one to jump into Luna. No real reason behind it other than we just didn't decide to jump into it or talk about it too much, and well, we're glad for now. But I feel for anyone that did jump in and lose. I have spoke to quite a few people today, a few members and a few just people that I know who have unfortunately had money in Luna or in UST, and unfortunately currently it has lost. Well, don't get me wrong, you haven't lost until you sell. That's the age-old rule. You haven't lost until you sell out. However, if you haven't sold out and you're holding on, how long or will it even happen? Will the prices get back up? I mean, will Luna get back up to $120? It's in the long term, I don't see it. I feel like the trust has now gone. I feel like the Luna Trust has, or Luna Foundation has kind of broken their investors' trust, and this is what's caused obviously such a pull down in price. The real kind of reasons behind it were to do with, again, if you would have kind of been caught up with this, but they were, in fact, let me open up the UST chart first, and then it'll make more sense. I'll speak about UST, then I'll explain. So UST, for anyone that doesn't know, is the stablecoin based off the native currency Luna. So Luna, or Terra Luna it's called, and then you've got UST, which is their stablecoin. So normally it's like any stablecoin, it's pegged to $1, hence why you'll see this chart. It's very, very minuscule because I've made it so small, but this chart just goes like straight and it's pegged at $1. But obviously, as you've seen here, the price action, which is performing like an actual like a regular altcoin, which is not supposed to happen. I even seen so I don't know if I've actually got it open on Twitter, but there was someone on Twitter like throwing a chart up and trying to like chart this. Like obviously it was a meme, it wasn't real, but someone was trying to chart and throw some Fibonacci on the Tether or the UST chart, which obviously wouldn't work. But anyway, UST then, so it's not pegged at $1 because of everyone kind of selling out of it. Now I do have a couple of threads which I'll get to in about 5-10 minutes, which are not conspiracy, but I guess they're speculation. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a lot of speculation, but I'll read them out and maybe you'll understand where it's coming from, and it might help understand what caused the crash. Now, the part I was going to mention just a second ago was essentially what happened was UST. So if I do mention Tether, just assume that I'm meaning UST. I keep saying the word, but I think it's because it says it up here, Tether. But UST were paying 20% yield for staking or yielding their altcoin or their stablecoin with the project Anchor. So the issue with that being is people started to kind of realise and know that 20% yield is not sustainable. So people then were like, well, hang on a minute, if it's not sustainable and they can't actually pay me that yield, then I'm going to start whipping all my money out of Anchor or out of UST. That then caused a bit of a snowball effect, because if they're promising 20%, you've got your money locked up in that and tied up in that, but then you think, well, hang on a minute, I'm probably not going to get that money back or even get that money that's promised to me. What happens if the project goes to zero or the worst case happens, which has kind of happened already? So it caused a bit of a panic. There is other reasons, again, which I'll get to, but there is other reasons, but that was kind of the start of it. Now, because Luna or UST and Luna are so kind of tied together, so essentially you can like sell off some Luna and mint some UST, for example. Well, Luna can also do that, and all they can do is essentially fluctuate the supply of Terra Luna. So if the supply goes up, they can then throw some money into UST, and then vice versa, if they need to kind of keep the peg. So that's what they've tried to do, and I'll show you a chart as well. I think they added something like, I can't remember the figure, but it says it on the chart I'm going to show you, but they added a crazy amount of liquidity to Luna, hence the price crashing, and then they've tried to kind of help this, and this is probably why this is starting to kind of rally a little bit, because they're producing more Luna, and this is why this is going down the way. So if this is going up, the chances are that's going to go down, because it kind of they work hand in hand. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, or you've gained a little bit of kind of an idea of what's going on. It's back up at 70 cents. It was at a low of, let's see, like, yeah, 22 cents, there or thereabouts. And for a stable coin, that's obviously not meant to happen, but it did, unfortunately. So if you are holding, hopefully you haven't sold out yet, or maybe you've got plans to sell out, or whatever it may be. They are doing their best. Now the Terra team have come out and said, look, we're doing our best. They're trying to like raise $1 billion or something like that to then fund it, to then back it up, and hopefully get the peg back. The only issue that I can maybe see with that is, yes, the plan may work, and the plan might be to get it back to $1, which is great. That's the whole point. But if you've just, I mean, if you're an investor and you see that chart, to me, you've kind of lost my trust and my faith. So a lot of people will be thinking the same. They'll be thinking, right, if it gets back to 80 cents or 90 cents or even $1, if it gets back to the dollar, I want out of UST, and I'm going to put my money into USDC or USDT. Because, well, if this is anything to go off of, why? I mean, look, it might not happen again, but it might happen again and again and again and again. We just don't know, and that's the issue with being the largest decentralized stablecoin. It sounded like a great idea, and Do Kwon, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the CEO, the guy behind this, he's like the sole owner of all that Bitcoin and whatnot that was backing it up. So it's a bit of a strange one. It's a very, very strange situation to be in. I mean, it was only just 3 weeks ago everyone was singing his praises because he was buying Bitcoin in bulk. The price of Bitcoin wasn't changing, it wasn't pumping the markets, but because he was buying it to pump up the reserves of UST, then it made sense and it looked like a good idea. So the past 3 weeks have been one to remember, put it that way. I was here for the COVID crash, I was here for the 2018 crash, and this is probably worse. I mean, Monday was probably worse than both of them because it just seemed to be happening all at the one time. There was the stock market was crashing, the CPI figures came out, they were higher than expected, obviously. We told you that before, they were going to be higher, so that was happening. Then crypto was crashing. The Tether thing came out. Tether was UST was crashing. Luna was crashing because UST was crashing. Everyone was capitulating. Everyone was selling out. Everyone was just freaking out. It went mad. It went absolutely mad. In fact, let me just look at the Bitcoin chart from then. So what's the date today? 11th. If we go, what have I got this on the? I mean, I can still bring it up. It looks a bit rubbish because it's on the 4 hour, but what date was it then? So the 9th. So from the 9th we were at, say, 34-ish K, and now obviously we went down to the 29s, and we're struggling to hold, but we are, I guess you could call that holding. We are struggling, but yeah, it's been a rough ride for everyone the past few weeks, especially Monday. And like I said, it's been one of the worst weeks in crypto in all of the 5 years that I've been here. And I mean, even seeing the sentiment on Twitter, this has been one of the worst weeks for even people that are here longer than that. And yeah, hopefully everyone's holding strong. Remember what we've said the past 2 years that we've had the channel going, that we wouldn't sell on a red day. things don't go down in straight lines. They do have bounces back, and we are hopeful that something is going to bounce back. Now, the full of May isn't looking great. I just didn't expect it to happen so early on in May, but there was expectations for about the 15th, there or thereabouts, at least this week, to be quite poor, and the rest of the month for that matter. But yeah, that was a tough one, and a tough few days for everyone involved. I think everyone was a bit rejoiced and quite happy to see this small little kind of, I guess, pump. Can we call it that? This week pump from, let's see, what did we get? We got like 10%. But look, we took it. Most people traded that and made some money, and most people have been trading the market up and down, which is great if you're on the winning side of the trade. But it's also why the markets move a lot as well sometimes, because liquidations, because people are over leveraged, people's stop losses are too high or too tight, and people are too low, causing people to get liquidated and the stop losses to get triggered, and that tends to be why you see a lot of like flash crashes in prices. It's not because everyone's panicking necessarily, it's because a lot of traders have over leveraged positions. So that's normally why we see it. However, like I said, sentiment's not great, but we do expect something to come back, something to change, and it's going to take us a few weeks. However, we're still hopeful. We still want it to, we still expect it to come back. But in the short term, it's going to be rough. But we're here to try and make it. We're here to try and make it as calm as possible. But we're just being realistic so that everyone knows exactly what's going on, what our position is, and what we expect to happen in the future. But yeah, how's everyone else feeling? Let me know. Get some chat going in the live chat. How's everyone feeling at the moment? Did you hold Luna? Have you lost some money on Luna? Are you still holding? Are you hopeful that things will change? Are we going to get another capitulation moment? Is it going to come down further? Or do you feel that the capitulation's already happened and we're ready to kind of put the bottom in, shall we say, and get things moving to the upside? What's the kind of thoughts on that? Let me know. So one thing, actually, I brung this up because I knew I was going to mention capitulating quite a bit, and I wasn't sure if everyone knew exactly what it meant. So capitulation in finance describes the dramatic surge of selling pressure in a declining market or security that marks a mass surrender by investors. This resulting in dramatic drop in the market price can mark the end of a decline, since those who didn't sell during a panic are unlikely to do so soon after. So capitulation typically follows significant downturns in price, which can take place even as many investors remain bullish. As the downturn accelerates, it reaches a point where the selling by investors unwilling to suffer further losing snowballs, leading to a dramatic plunge in price. So if you haven't heard us, well, you've probably heard that said many a times, and you maybe didn't have any clue what it meant. That's what it means. Essentially, when a capitulation is when you get a big scary drop. So I guess this is classed as a capitulation to an extent. So let's see in the chat then. So people are saying accumulating XRP. Some others are saying ready to bottom out. Yeah, me too. I'm more than happy at these levels. Well, as happy as can be. I do feel that there might be some further downside, but actually based off the fact that the CPI digits or figures came out this week, and then the US markets came open, we were down a little bit, hence why Bitcoin kind of came down quite a bit. But we did put a large kind of breakdown or market update in our Discord for members to see what's kind of going on, what our thoughts are, and where the markets currently are at the moment. So let's move on and chat a bit about, first of all, BitConnect, because I mentioned I was going to mention that, but a little bit more about the Luna situation and what's actually happened. So let's see. BitConnect. Let me get a quick drink. So again, you don't need to know much about this, hence why I've just googled it. I'm going to read from here, but in January 17, 2018, BitConnect shut down.
and BCC prices crashed 92% immediately after. BitConnect announced it would refund its loans. However, the BitConnect X website remained opened and operational, having just begun its ICO and allowing users to purchase the coins. So that's why I was relating it back to the BitConnect where it fell 92%, because as I mentioned, this fell like 98%. That says 99, but it was there or thereabouts, fell about 99%. So a very similar situation. It happens very, very rarely. I mean, that's the biggest one that's really happened since kind of then. We've obviously seen things fall in double digits, 20, 30, 40% sometimes, but the fact this dropped 98% in 24 hours was very similar to how BitConnect kind of was looking. So what else we got in the chat then? So bought into Mimo at 12p and brought my average down to 2p in the current downtrend. And that's a very good point actually. A lot of people will see this market now. I know the market might not look great to some people, but if you're an investor and you've been in this for a few months, maybe you've got a higher buy-in price. You still believe in the project. Like we always say, if you believe in the project and you invest in it, you're happy for if the price goes up and down, because you see the kind of long-term vision in it. Most people will treat this as a dollar cost averaging kind of point. And what I mean by that is, like someone's just mentioned in the comments, the previous buy-in for that coin was 12p. He's buying back in now because the prices are so low, now getting his average price to 2p. So that could be something that you could do as well. Dollar cost averaging is one of the most important parts of investing, not just in crypto, but in most assets. Dollar cost average your way into the price and try and get that price as low as possible, meaning that when it does eventually move up, you get a little bit more gain for your buck. So if crypto was easy, everybody would be rich, someone has also mentioned. And yes, that's very true. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not. Hence why when you do speak about it to your friends and family and work colleagues, they probably think you're a bit crazy. And well, most of us are quite crazy to be involved in crypto. However, we see the potential in it. We see the kind of early stages that we're at, and that's why we invest so heavily in it, because we see the future of the assets. Now, prices of course help, but the actual technology itself as well, people love. BitConnect, what a memory. Indeed, what a memory that was. It takes me back to 2018 when I had no clue what was going on. I just knew that things like this were happening, and I thought, oh, this crypto thing seems great. So if you have recently joined crypto and this is maybe your first couple of months, welcome. This doesn't happen every time. I promise this doesn't always happen, but it has happened before, and it happened recently. Well, I say recently, it happened in 2018 as well, so not ideal. Different situation, but very same price drawdown. Okay, so stablecoin implosion. Luna and UST lose significant value. The downturn ripples across the crypto economy. So most of this I have covered. Now, just to kind of explain a little bit more in detail before I start reading out the tweets that I think you'll find quite interesting. So the Terra blockchain ecosystem has been ravaged by the events that took place over the last few days, when the network's algorithmic stablecoin Terra UST started to lose its US dollar peg. Now, the project founder Daquan, which again we've mentioned many times on the channel, and the Luna Foundation Guard, I mean, even the fact that that's called LFG, like let's effing go, it's quite cringe, but anyway, moving on. Also explained that the team was lending $1.5 billion in Bitcoin and Terra UST to help defend the peg. The effort was fruitless endeavour, and UST slipped to 66 cents per coin. I mean, it slipped a lot lower than that. But then, for most of the day on Tuesday, UST managed to climb back to 90 cents, and it did. And that's the thing; it's been quite, it's been fluctuating up and down. I mean, literally from like 20 odd cents up to like 90 cents, back down to 70 cents, and it's been all over the place. On Tuesday evening, so again last night, UST started to plummet again and continued its slide to 29 cents per unit. Now, the native token Luna suffered even more than UST as it lost 97, as we've just seen, percent of its value in the past 24 hours. Skipping ahead a little bit here, Daquan said to stay strong and the plan was on the way. He tweeted that quite recently on Twitter. Now, I won't kind of go through any more of this because I've covered most of it. I don't want to keep covering the exact same stuff that I've already mentioned, but just wanted to get into the kind of the details of what's kind of going about in the news. Most of this live stream will be focused quite solely on the Luna and UST thing because it makes more sense to do so. And then we also have some news coming as well. Let me just look at the chat and see what's going on. It's not a crypto specific problem. All equity markets are down. No one has been saved. Yeah, correct. So I briefly mentioned that it's not just crypto. Everything's down at the moment. All markets are down across the board. Do you think we're now in a bear market for a few years? I don't think so. No, I don't believe that we are in a bear market as such. Again, we mentioned this back. If you watched the podcast that we done, when did we do that podcast? Was it March? Again, I'll link that below or check it out on our Instagram. There's a link for that. But we mentioned that Bitcoin is performing very bullish, and so is Ethereum, and we're quite happy to say that it's kind of over for Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of it won't come back and set a new all-time high. So they've most definitely been performing bearish. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bear market, and we've mentioned this many times on our Instagram stories because we get asked it all the time, naturally. But with some projects still doing, for example, Genzo Kishi, one that we brought to our members on launch, done 100x. So that doesn't tend to happen in bear markets. Since that, there was also 2 or 3, in fact I think there was actually more than 2 or 3, I'm trying to remember the names off the top of my head, but a lot more projects have broken out of like 3-month downtrends as well and pumped significantly. Now, of course, they're all back down again because the whole market is down. That's not the point. But these were still pumping, making 20-30% gains in a day, which you don't tend to see in the bear market. So no, don't believe it's a bear market quite yet. We have been saying for months that it's coming and it's around the corner. For anyone that does follow us on Instagram, we have been putting up Instagram stories with question and answers, and we get asked a lot, but we have stuck to our guns and said, no, not in a bear market. However, we're very, very close to a bear market. So yes, hopefully that gives you reason and you understand my thoughts. So what's next then? So it gives me faith that crypto isn't the only one down. The dump is bigger than crypto. Yeah, 100%. It would be worrying if the stock market was running to all-time highs and crypto was dumping. Then we would maybe have an issue, and then it'd be a different live stream, a different question to ask. But the whole world is down. Everything's down. Inflation's higher than expected, which again we knew that was going to come, but inflation's higher. Everything's up in value in terms of the cost of living. But the value of S&P 500, the Nasdaq, you name it, all these big top companies. Netflix, you've seen that recently. That absolutely crashed. Tesla, Coca-Cola, like everything is coming down. And we're in the early stages of a recession. We've mentioned it many a times. It's nothing to be afraid of, I guess, because it's expected. And the UK came out last week and mentioned that we're in a recession as well. Now, why is that, you ask? Well, the government, Biden, again, a lot of our information comes from the US, but Biden is still going with the narrative that inflation and whatnot and recession was caused by the pandemic and caused by the war. Absolute nonsense. It hasn't once mentioned the printing of trillions of dollars from thin air. Not once have any of the government people in America taken any responsibility for anything that's happened in the past 2 years, yet all they've done is print and print and print and print and print and devalue not only the US economy, because they're based in the US, that's the main economy, but the rest of the world then is affected from the US and its economy. So I saw a video before I came on live. I think Pomp had shared it on YouTube, and it was the reason, or what Biden was saying the reason was, and he was going on about the pandemic. That's one of the main. So the two reasons, Biden says the two reasons for inflation I feel like I'm kind of jumping ahead here. I was going to cover this later, but we're going with it. So the two reasons for inflation in the US is one, the pandemic. So the pandemic that's been going on for 2 years is the one that caused the inflation, and then secondly was the war. So that's the only two reasons that inflation has happened at a 40-year high in America. Absolute nonsense. Not again once mentioning the fact that they've printed trillions with a capital T, and pumped the US economy full of fake money, buying fake bonds, pumping up the economy. It was nothing to do with him, essentially. Nuts. Honestly, absolutely insane. So Andrew has mentioned here in the comments, just a tip for anyone using the Plutus card abroad. POS and ATM transactions all attract a fee, but if you get a curve card and link to Plutus, you avoid fees up to a certain amount. Well worth doing. That was a good bit of advice there, Andrew. So for anyone that uses a Plutus card, which now we know is a lot of you use the Plutus card, then I would recommend what Andrew said. Get a curve card, link it to your Plutus card, and you avoid some fees. So top tip of the day came from Andrew. So thanks for that, mate. On the subject of Plutus, I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but hopefully these are catching up and following along. Make sure you've watched the Plutus video on our YouTube channel. It's posted 3 weeks ago, I believe. You would have seen Plutus at the time had a massive run up in price, so please make sure that you go watch that video to understand what the hell we're talking about with this Plutus card. It's a crypto debit card that you can use for everyday spending, and you can get some cash back on paying your direct debits and whatnot as well. So check out that video. After this live stream, click our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch that video. Okay, moving on then to some tweets that I want to share with you. I don't know why this is taking so long. It was doing this earlier, but do go on then. So the master of stablecoin Luna, so the guy who created this mess essentially. So he posted on Twitter earlier this morning, just chatting about kind of what's happening. So I'm going to run through this quickly so you get an understanding of what the plans are. So if you are a Terra Luna holder, this will be of great interest to you. But even if you're not a Terra Luna holder, this should still be of great interest to you, because it's a focal point and it's a chatting kind of hot topic in the crypto space just now. So it makes sense to pay attention and understand it. So let me get a quick sip and then we shall read over this. Okay, so dear Terra community, so understand that the last 72 hours have been extremely tough on you all. Know that I am resolved to work with every one of you to weather this crisis, and we'll build our way out of this together. First of all, before I continue, this doesn't really look like his typical tweets. I feel like maybe his secretary or his assistant has tweeted this, because it's very different compared to what he normally types like. Anyway, first, if you don't understand Terra's peg stabilization mechanism works, here's a good overview. Again, you can read that at a later date. I won't go through that because it's long. A review of the current situation. So UST is currently trading at 50 cents, a significant deviation from its intended peg at $1. The price stabilization mechanism is absorbing UST supply. That's over 10% of the total supply, but the cost of absorbing so much stablecoins at the same time has stretched out the on-chain swap spread to 40%, and the Luna price has diminished dramatically, absorbing the ARBs. Before anything else, the only path forward will be to absorb the stablecoin supply that wants to exit before UST can start to repeg. There is no way around it. So we propose several remedial measures to aid the peg mechanism to absorb the supply. Now this is where it gets interesting. So first, we endorse the community proposal of 1164 to increase the base pool from 50 million to 100 million, so a dramatic increase. Decrease the pool recovery block from 36 to 18, and this will increase the minting capacity from 293 million to 1200 million, so 1.2 billion. So to understand that a bit more, I guess you really need to understand what or how it works. And I kind of touched on this at the start, but you're probably best to go watch another video on it just to get down to the depths of it, if you care that much, that is. But essentially you could mint some Luna for like something like 10 Luna for like 1 UST, something like that, and vice versa. So you can mint your way. So if you mint more mint more Luna, you can then change it for 1 UST. Something along those lines. But again, like I said, you're better watching a full video on it because it makes more sense than me trying to briefly cover off. Now, with the current on-chain spread, the peg pressure and UST burn rate, the supply overhang of UST, i.e. the bad debt, should continue to decrease until partly is recovered and spreads begin healing. Now this obviously was 8 hours ago, so some of this has changed a little bit and some of it makes a bit more sense than others. But naturally, this is at a high cost to the UST and Luna holders. Well, we know that, we can see that by now, but we will continue to explore various options to bring in more exogenous, hopefully I've said that right, it's probably wrong, capital to the ecosystem and reduce the supply overhang on UST. And as we begin to rebuild UST, we will adjust its mechanism to be collateralized. I just feel like he's almost fighting a losing battle a little bit. I feel like people have given up on it now. The Terra ecosystem is one of the most vibrant in the crypto industry, with hundreds of passionate teams building category-defining applications within. As long as these builders, TFL among them, continue to build, we will continue out this together. So hopefully they continue to build for Luna's sake. Terra's focus has always been oriented itself around the long-term horizon, and another setback this May, similar to last year, will not deter the lunatics. #lunatics. Short-term stumbles do not define what you can accomplish. Yeah, I mean, hopefully some of that made sense. I've covered majority of it already, but I wanted just to show you his words and his tweet. It's like I said already 3 or 4 times, but I feel like he's lost the faith already of a lot of his holders and a lot of people in crypto, because he has helped the crash, I guess. It wasn't just him, but he has definitely helped the crash in crypto. So most people don't really like the man anymore, even though he was like not a saint, but I guess he was some sort of crypto saint recently for buying up so much Bitcoin, but he's now kind of had to sell it off a little bit. But anyway, I'll go on to the next part, which is a bit of a speculation tweet which I want to show you. Oh, in fact, so this is a tweet first I'll get to before we do so. They have had to, so another thing about Luna, they've added 145% supply to Luna to try repeg UST. Again, I don't understand all the ins and outs of how the algo peg this thing, but man, rough time for Luna. This is what I mentioned. If you print more, the price comes down. So the prices went like down so much because they're printing more Luna to try and back up this. So the fact that this is going up is causing, the fact this is going down is causing this to go up because they're printing more Luna, and that's the supply of Luna the past 24 hours up 145%. Nuts, absolutely nuts. Okay, let's see. So we've got a nice comment there I want to just cover off in the live chat from Liddy and Phil. So first of all, I appreciate this, but I just want to say on behalf of me and my wife that we're so glad that we found Crypto Glasgow. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that, first of all. Appreciate that. And you're welcome. And we're glad to have you on board, whether it's in Discord, Instagram, or even just following us or subscribing to us rather on YouTube. So thanks very much to everyone that does that. On that note, whilst we're at this little pause, make sure that you go like this video. Please just scroll down to your left hand side, click like. It'd be greatly appreciated so that we can continue to grow our YouTube following, as we do have a very fun video coming actually, which we have teased a little bit on our Instagram page, which is a day in the life vlog of myself and Dick, and it was filmed just over the weekend there whilst we were travelling to London, which majority of you will love to see because we get asked all the time, what do you do day to day and what's your day-to-day life like being in crypto and running a crypto business? Well, we have a day in the life vlog coming very, very soon. So pay attention, stay tuned, subscribe, all that jazz, like, comment, share, whatever it is that you do, please do it. We would really, really appreciate the help that we can get on growing this YouTube channel. We have been growing on Instagram for 2 years now. It's actually our second year anniversary of the Instagram page. We started back in May 2020, so I guess we'll celebrate that. I can't remember the exact date. I think it might be tomorrow, but it's definitely coming in the next few days. But if you have joined us that past 2 years, thank you. We have built a huge following on Instagram, and now we're trying to take over the YouTube space. So any subscriptions from yourselves would be very highly appreciated. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to some Luna news. Now, some speculation. There's two I want to show you. I want to just show you this first tweet here, and then I'm going to move straight into the second one because I feel the second one is more juicy than the first. So, someone's actually commented here, the Luna and UST price crash has nothing to do with Citadel. Like, where is the factual evidence? Well, if you let me just get into it a little bit first. As I said, it's speculation. That's why I'm only showing you this top tweet, and then I'm going to move into something else. This is complete speculation, but I quite like speculation, and so do you, because if you're invested in crypto, you like to speculate because it's a speculative asset at times, and the prices are speculative, and that's why we're all here. So yeah, you're speculative, and we all enjoy it. So BlackRock and Citadel, the culprits. Now, this has come out quite a few times. I've seen a few tweets about it. Messing with the lunatics was not a good move. Obviously, this guy Harry is a lunatic. In fact, there we go. It's in his name, Luna, so he's obviously a fan of Luna. And as soon as BlackRock invested into Circle, the USDC issuer, USD became a competitor. Here is what happened over the past few days. So again, as I've mentioned, speculative, but we all love a bit of speculation. So I'm going to read from the next one, which is a different thread from this guy here called On-Chain Wizard. And it doesn't mention or point any fingers, any names. What it's speaking about purely is what potentially has happened and what potentially the attacker of the... Because people are speculating that it was an attack on UST. And this is a kind of breakdown of how it potentially happened and how much potentially the attacker got away with or made from doing so. So quite interesting. Hopefully stick around for it, because I find it really interesting that it's potentially true. Not pointing any elbows, don't know who it was. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter who it was, because the fact is it happened. So it could have been the government for all I care. It could have been Satoshi for all I care. It doesn't matter who it was that done it. We're not here to point elbows and say it was someone. I'm just interested in the fact that it's happened and someone has potentially made money from it, which is the crazy thing about crypto. Okay, so let's see then. It's a bit of a thread here. So how to make plus $800 million in crypto attacking the once third largest stablecoin. So everyone's talking about the UST attack right now, including Janet Yellen, but no one's talking about how much money the attacker made or how brilliant it was. Let's dig in. It wasn't this guy. This is just used for clickbait, I guess. So let's chat this through then. So the story starts in late March when the Luna Foundation Guard, or LFG, starts buying Bitcoin to back up UST. The LFG started accumulating Bitcoin on the 22nd of March, and by March 26, I don't know why I pronounced that so strange, March 26 had 1 billion plus worth of Bitcoin in its possession. This is leg one that made this trade or attack brilliant. So again, this is just a quote that they're claiming that they've bought this much, over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. The second leg comes in form of the 4-pool Frax announcement for UST on April 1st. This added the second leg needed to help execute the strategy in a capital efficient way. So liquidity will be lower and then the attack is on. So again, direct from Daquan on April 1st, just stating how the 4 pool is live essentially. So UST to Frax to USDC to USDT. Next, we don't know when the attacker borrowed 100k of Bitcoin to start the position, other than that it was sold into Quan's buy-in. Again, speculation. LFG bought 15k Bitcoin between March 27th and April 11th. So let's just take the average price between those dates of $42,000. Alright, hopefully you're following. So you have a $4.2 billion short position built. Over the same time, the attacker builds a $1 billion over-the-counter position in UST. The stage is now set to create a run on the bank and get paid on your BTC short. In anticipation of the 4 pool, LFG initially removes 150 million from 3 pool liquidity. The liquidity was pulled on the 8th of the 5th, so just a few days ago, and then the attacker uses 350 mil of the UST to drain curve liquidity, and LFG pulls out another 100 mil of liquidity. So essentially the speculative attacker is using borrowed funds to buy into UST to then sell off UST, which would then cause the price to start, in fact I think it actually mentions it here, but to start depegging, meaning that LFG would have to kind of react. So next, but only this starts the depegging, causing it to go to 0.97 cents, so obviously it's meant to be $1, it was down a few percent. LFG begins selling BTC to defend the peg, as it said it would, causing downward pressure in BTC while the run on UST was just getting started. So, this is going so slow. With the curve liquidity drained, the attacker used the remainder of their $1 billion OTC UST position, so around 650 million worth, to start offloading on Binance, because Binance, again, you'll see is where it kind of started, and Binance actually stopped trading at one point because of the action. So they sold it off on Binance. As withdrawals from Anchor turned from concern into panic, this caused a real depeg as people fled for the exits. So LFG selling BTC to restore the peg while the attacker is selling UST on Binance. Eventually the chain gets congested and the central exchanges suspend withdrawals of UST, fueling the bank to run panic. UST depegs to 60 cents at the bottom whilst BTC bleeds out. Now the crypto community panics as they wonder how much BTC will be sold to keep the peg. So again, like I said, the Luna Foundation are supposed to, if the depegging happens at any point, they were going to sell off their reserves sell off their Bitcoin reserves for dollars to then fund the UST to help pump the price back up. But because someone was actually attacking it potentially, then they knew it was going to happen, therefore they helped the kind of crash happen. So there are liquidations across the board, and Luna pukes because of its redemption mechanism. The attacker very well could have shorted Luna as well, which is very true. BTC fell 25% from around 42k to around 31k within that kind of 24-hour period. So how much did the attacker make? Now, there aren't details on where they are covered, obviously, or how much they've actually done, but if they were able to cover or buy back the entire position at $32,000, then this means they would have made 952 million on the short. Now, on the $350 million of the UST curve dumps, so that the initial dump essentially, I don't think they took much of a loss. Let's assume 3% or around 11 million. And let's just assume that all Binance dumps were done at 80 cents. That's another 125 million cost of doing business for a grand profit of around 815 million. Now, almost there, hopefully still following. BTC was perfect playground for the trade as liquidity was there to pull it off, while LFG involved in BTC and foreseeing that they would sell to keep the peg. So again, the liquidities in Bitcoin, because everyone has Bitcoin, every big central exchange owns numerous amounts of Bitcoin, therefore the liquidity was there for anyone that wanted to play around and crash it if need be, or play around, so it was like the perfect recipe for a disaster. Lastly, the liquidity being low on 3 pool in advance of 4 pool allowed the attacker to drain it with only 350 million, causing the broader panic in both BTC and UST. Any shorts on Luna would have added a lot of profit and loss here as well, because it fell 65%. Well, it actually fell 97%, but in that particular moment it fell 65%. So essentially the moral of all that is, first of all, speculation. So there's nothing confirmed who it was, or who the attacker, or why the attacker done it. There was no real reason behind it. However, the fact that there was something, again, I haven't opened a tweet, but there was a tweet going about and it was like showing transactions of people borrowing, or some company or whatever it may have been, borrowing 100,000 Bitcoin, then selling off 25,000 Bitcoin for UST, and then all of this kicking off. So the speculation is, which someone in the comments has said it isn't. Again, speculation's fun because you can kind of say what you want, but speculation is it was BlackRock and Citadel. I don't know who it was, but the fact is it happened is this is potentially the play for play, how it happened, and potentially how much the person has actually made. So decentralized, I mean, there's not a lot you can do. There's not a lot of people can prove who it was. That's kind of the whole point of crypto. You can't really prove who it was. It's all synonymous, but there is ways of potentially tracking down wallet addresses and play for play action, which I'm sure someone will do at some point, because that's what happens in crypto. People always try and find out everything, how much money you've got in your wallet, where you've sent your crypto, did you get paid for this, did you not? So I'm sure someone at some point, it will all come out, maybe who it was or what happened, or maybe it won't, who knows, but very interesting to say the least. Would now be a good time to buy due to the low prices? I mean, potentially. We do have some updates coming to Discord very, very soon in terms of, are we buying in? What are we buying? Why are we buying? Are we nuts? But for us, the capitulation looks to be almost over. But like I said at the start of this live, May is not looking like a good month. I mean, clearly you've already seen that, but overall, it's not going to look like a great month. So it could be a case of kind of sitting back and waiting for some price movement. So, and I mean price movement to the upside, no further downside, because not many people can take that much longer. But yeah, we will be buying back in at some point soon. But for now, we're sitting back and just speculating on fun things like this, but also just watching the market with a bit of distance to make sure that we're not just jumping into things or selling things because the markets are so red hot just now. So eventually, yes, we will be. Do you still see $10 XRP this year? Yes, we do. We still definitely do. We haven't changed anything. Again, we mention this quite a lot, but until we change our thoughts or opinions, then anything we've said prior will still stand. So yes, we do. Okay, so next few things I want to just run through. It'll be quite quick. We're almost finished up here, but the last 24-hour liquidations, this was actually from yesterday, but it was the best one I could find. This is the initial liquidations from the other day anyway, but there was a total of $1.1 billion in liquidations, and there was 287,000 traders liquidated. So this type of thing here and being liquidated helps drive the price down, like I mentioned. So it's not great to see this, but it's because people are over leveraged and don't set enough stop losses or close enough stop losses, or they're just in things, they're just hopium. It doesn't always go very well, as we can see. But yeah, so $1.1 billion in liquidations in one day, which is pretty high. Next is, come on, why is it taking so long? I don't know if it's because I've left these open for so long, but I'm going to speak a little bit about the US CPI figures. The reason I'm only going to speak a little bit about it is because we've got another live stream coming for members over the next coming day. It should be tomorrow or Friday, which is with Asim, who will go into this in more detail. So tonight's more about just, and most Wednesday nights are just about news and what's going on in the markets, a little bit about prices, but the members live stream that happens every week is the nitty gritty of the markets, the inflation, stock markets, crypto markets, and what's actually going on. You can also have requests to look at certain coins. So yeah, if you want to know a little bit more about that, make sure that first of all you're a member of our Discord. If you're not, then you can join it from, there will be a link in the description of this video. You'll find it either on our website or there'll be a direct link and in the pinned comments. But yeah, so join our Discord group and you'll understand why our members are still calm. We're all a bit upset, but we are still calm and still not selling out of our positions on red days, and that's because we have an iron mindset. And yeah, stay tuned for the video over the coming days, like I said, with Asim. So just to quickly kind of cover them, the US CPI year over year is currently 8.3% versus the expected 8.1%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but in inflation, that is a lot. We knew it was going to be larger than that or higher than that anyway, but it's about, I'll cover this quick story, but it still remains close to the 40-year high. Now the price rises slowed in the US in April, but the annual inflation rate remained close to a 40-year high, leaving many Americans struggling to afford necessities including food, shelter and fuel. The latest Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, figures which measure a broad range of goods and services showed prices rising by a monthly rate of 0.3% in April, down from 1.2% in March, and it's the first fall since August 2021. So it's a positive that it's fell, but it's not a positive because it's higher than expected. It is down from 8.5%, but it's now 8.3%. So again, it's not seen since the 1980s, which is insane, but we have had the wildest 2 years that the world has seen, so it makes a lot of sense why. Now, the real kind of inflation numbers then. So the price of eating food at home is up 10.8% over the past 12 months. This is completely unsustainable for the average American family. Bearing in mind that inflation is 8.3%, but the actual cost of living is way higher than that, and the figures aren't reported the way they should be. And that's not just in the US, that's across the board and in the UK. The cost of living is way higher. I mean, fuel is 100% more expensive than it was last year, the year before, for example. But people aren't getting wage rises, or if they are, they're getting a 3% wage rise or a 4% wage rise. It's not even getting anywhere near the inflation figures that are put out from the CPI and from the government. And as Pomp is tweeted here, it's up 10% or nearly 11% for eating at home, and most Americans haven't had a price increase. They still are potentially out of a job as well, and it's just not looking good for anyone across the board. So not ideal, but yeah, it's the good old government trying to save us and help us out of this sticky situation. Lastly, just to finish up, I want to show you the Fear and Greed. We used to always finish on that, so I'm going to finish on this tonight, but it's for an extreme fear. I posted this recently in Discord, I think it was on Monday. We're down at 10, and yesterday we're down at 10 as well. That's the kind of lowest figures we've seen pretty much ever. It feels worse than what it was like in the COVID crash, but of the C19, I probably shouldn't have said that word. I'm going to get hidden from the algorithm now. But the C19 crash was in and around these figures, but it definitely feels tougher than that for anyone that was involved in crypto back in 2020. You'll know exactly what I mean. But yes, we're in extreme fear. Now, the saying goes, and I know I say this most times, but the saying goes, be greedy when others are fearful. Now, I definitely back that statement up because it's proven over time that it's definitely the way to go, and it's kind of how we've planned a lot of our buys and whatnot. But for now, we're definitely not quite interested in buying into the market. We will be very soon, and we'll update the members when that occurs. But for now, we're definitely not living by that rule because things are still a little bit too raw and I feel that there might be a little bit more price action to the downside before we can eventually start to move out, but it will be very choppy over the next coming weeks, if not month, so stay tuned and hold tight for that. And yeah, again, wanted to show you we're sitting at 12, which is one of the lowest points we have seen in quite some time. Okay, thanks very much for joining. Make sure, like I said, you have smashed that like button just down to your left or your right, I think it is, can't quite remember, but if you scroll down on your phone or scroll down on your laptop, whatever it may be, and please like this video, share it with someone who has to see it. Some of it is time sensitive, so make sure that you are sending it out tonight, letting your friends know that you should be watching this, because there's a lot going on in crypto, and this live stream hopefully made a lot of sense for majority of you. Now, if there's anything you do need from us at any point, the main place to get us would be either in the comments below. So leave a comment below on this YouTube video. We will read every YouTube comment. We also do a giveaway, so for anyone that watches us or subscribes to our channel, we do a giveaway of a Ledger Nano every single month. I don't actually have one to hand. We do give away a Ledger Nano if you comment on any video from that month. So subscribe to the channel, go comment on any video. First of all, watch them, watch the videos, like the videos, but also comment any comment you want. It could be something to help us change the channel, it could be just saying hello, it could be anything, a little bit of feedback, anything. Just comment on one of the videos from the past month and you'll be entered in with the chance of winning a Ledger Nano for free. So free to enter, but you're helping us grow the channel. So like I said, subscribe to the channel, like any and all videos, comment any and all videos, and of course turn on post notifications, because the algorithms are a hard one to manage. But for everything else, you can get us on Instagram, simply crypto.glasgow for now. Get us there, or get us on our website at ccgla.co.uk. We are a consultancy. We do offer products and services, i.e. education platform and guides, and we have a huge Discord community. So please check the website out. If you do need anything, please feel free to reach out, and we'll help out as much as possible. But that's all for me. Thank you for joining. I personally will see you next Wednesday on the next live stream, but for members and potentially new members after this, then you'll see Asim tomorrow or Friday with the exclusive members live stream, where we'll dig a lot deeper into what the hell's going on in the world and what the hell's going on in crypto. But for me, thanks very much for tuning in, thanks for joining. I'll see you next time, and yeah, see ya.